And welcome back to Shawnee Arena at the University of St. Thomas. You can go ahead, Alex, as we get ready for the second game of our doubleheader, featuring the Totino-Grace Eagles and the Holy Angels Stars. Holy Angels, the defending 3A state champions, and Totino-Grace from Alex's neck of the woods in the good old Northwest Suburban Conference. And as Alex gets himself, Alex, let's get you on the other headset, the one that Abe is holding. And as we get situated here, Holy Angels, they lost Laura Bagwell-Katalinich to graduation. She's at Pennsylvania, but they have a lot of talent coming back, including Destiny Oberg and Megan Meyer.
Well, I talked to assistant coach Gary Rutsvold, who used to coach at St. Kate's a few years back, and I asked him specifically about the loss of Bagwell-Katalinich to graduation and how it would affect their team. And he told me what was kind of surprising. He said he thinks that they'll be a better team in some ways. The thing of it is they'll be different because they won't have that one big scorer, that one dynamic player that they can rely on. So they're going to have to be more balanced defensively. And I think this will be a good outing to see what we get from that Holy Angels team this year.
And just how good was Bagwell-Katalinich? She was among the leaders in scoring and rebounding in the state of Minnesota, led Holy Angels on that improbable path to a 3A championship, which makes them the first and currently last.
Yeah.
Well, in 3A anyway, because when they won the first one, it was a one-class system, but it was just their second state championship in 41 years and the first to be officially recognized by the Minnesota State High School League.
Well, and I think the fact, too, that they did it by flying under the radar for pretty much the whole year. I mean, nobody expected them to, make a deep run into the state tournament, much less win it. But that's exactly what they did.
And we talked about this all the way back at the All-Star Series. They got some help when Orono and Casamanteville, the top two teams in terms of ranking, they were knocked out in sections, and then that just opened up the field. One of Hutchinson's top players went down to an injury, and it was anyone's title at that point.
Yeah.
And Holy Angels came out on top.
Yep.
But Holy Angels is not going to be a secret anymore, so that's something they'll have to contend with. And Totino-Grace, again, a Northwest Suburban team that Alex is familiar with. They had some success in the last decade. I believe they won in 2007.
Right.
Oh, well, that was Becker's year, 2008.
Yeah.
That's when they beat De La Salle.
And interestingly enough, one of the assistant coaches for Totino-Grace, Lizzie Nauman, is now on the coaching staff for Totino-Grace.
And for Totino-Grace, I imagine most of the spectators are at U.S. Bank Stadium with the football team going up against Eden Prairie tonight for the premier 6A rivalry with the championship on the line. But we have a long way to go. And what have you seen out of Totino-Grace over the last few years? Because I imagine you've had a chance to see them in the Northwest Suburban.
Yeah, it's a different life for them in the Northwest Suburban, a very tough conference. I personally, in my humble opinion, I think it's the best conference out there, although I know I'm a little biased when I say that. But it's not the easy free ride that you think you might get. It's not. It's anything but that. So I think they're slowly adjusting to life in the Northwest Suburban Conference, and I think in a matter of time they'll be one of the upper echelon teams that can compete for a conference title and perhaps more.
We know you're a Northwest Suburban junkie. But they have some great representation over the years. You noted with Centennial, Jill Beckins returning as head coach. So we're going through the starters now. Let's take a look at the starting five for both schools. For Totino-Grace, it's going to be Carla Meyer, number 5, the freshman guard. Number 12, Bree Glynn, the sophomore forward. Number 25, Maddie Brunn, the senior guard. Number 33, Alex Ganaway, the senior forward. And number 45, Sydney Weirkey, the senior forward. Holy Angels will start. Megan Thompson. Number 11, the 5'4" senior. Number 21, Megan Meyer, the 5'8" junior. Number 22, Kaylee Vanderwerf, the 6'1" freshman. Number 23, Destiny Oberg, the 6'2" sophomore. And number 30, Riley Talhuber, the 5'8" junior. Talhuber, the daughter of a former Golden Gopher.
And, it's interesting. You look at this Holy Angels lineup, only 2 seniors on the squad. This is a squad that is really dominated by sophomores and juniors.
And everyone except Bagwell Katalinic is returning among the starting players. So a lot of experience, even though you lost your top player in every aspect, a lot of experience coming back. They used a 7-player rotation last year. They're hoping to expand that this season. I had a chance to speak with Joe Berg, and I know everybody at Holy Angels is really excited to build on what they established a year ago. Holy Angels in the Tri-Metro Conference. Hoping to sustain the building blocks that got them a state championship a year ago. Totino-Grace wearing the navy. Holy Angels wearing the white. And the title defense has begun for the Holy Angels Stars. This is Riley Talhuber, and she gets it off to Megan Thompson. Oberg, no good. Rebound will end up in the hands of Totino-Grace. That's Maddie Brunn with it. Someone's left alone on the baseline, but unable to hit the jumper. It's Alex Ganaway, and we're going to get names and numbers down to a T as the game moves along. So you have some experience with this, Alex, having followed the Park Center Pirates to back-to-back titles. What is the process? We have a 3 on the way that will not fall for Maddie Brunn. What is the process of defending a championship? Because, of course, you get a little more attention. What else comes into play from your perspective?
Well, I think, number one, you have to stay hungry. You have to find a way to stay motivated. On most important things, you can't get complacent. You can't be satisfied. That's one of the big things that you have to guard against. You have to find a way to stay motivated and a desire to get better.
Oberg missing the turnaround and using up the dribble, but getting the rebound beforehand was Sydney Weirkey. And as I understand it, Weirkey is one of the top players for the Eagles. Well, yes. Carla Meyer has something to say about that. She gets on the board. Meyer with the 3-pointer to start action. Entry pass deflected. It will stay with the Stars.
Older sister Lexi is now at Gustavus.
You are a fountain of Mayak trivia. Oberg used up the dribble and can't hit the floater. Scramble for the ball. It's a jump. Holy Angels with the arrow. Or I should say Totino-Grace with the arrow. And with this being opening day, that does increase the upset potential. I happen to work on that other show, Minnesota Prep Spotlight. I guess I'll plug myself here. As Totino-Grace goes up and comes up short, Bree Glynn. After Holy Angels won, we spent the following episode at their school. Holy Angels in trouble, but they get out of it. Talhuber draws the foul. Talhuber, considered the most athletic player on the team. And she is someone who will likely get more playing time with Begwel Katelinic, now a graduate, although she is in attendance tonight.
Yeah.
Begwel Katelinic, now at Pennsylvania in the Ivy League. A conference that will have, for the first time in history, a conference tournament.
Yeah.
For many years, it was the regular season champion getting the automatic bid, and now they'll finally have a chance to experience what everyone else does. But Tallhuber misses both free throws.
That'll be interesting to see. I mean, you would think of the Ivy League, it's just like whoever finishes on top of the regular season, that's it.
Three to nothing in favor of the Eagles. Subs already coming in for Holy Angels. I should say almost. That's Megan Thompson. At 5'4", she kind of hides in there. Tallhuber hits the 14-footer, and Holy Angels is on the board. And a pretty sizable contingent right next to us of Holy Angels fans. They get the steal. Thompson on the runaway. And she completes the fast break play. 14-30. And Holy Angels with a 4-3 lead. 3 on the way. It's a rainbow, and it doesn't fall from Maddie Brunn. Holy Angels looking to run again. This time it's Megan Meyer off the feed from Thompson. And the Holy Angels stars establishing a constellation of transition looks. Brunn has it. Weighing her options. Cross-court skip to Carla Meyer. Now she'll back off to Ganaway. Entry pass deflected and recovered. That leaves Brunn open, but her three-pointer is short. Orberg scoops it up. Holy Angels won't be able to push it this time. But Thompson with the bounce. And coming up short was Meyer. But Thompson racing in for the rebound, all 5 feet 4 inches of her. Vanderwerf bounces out, but Tallhuber couldn't put it down. Thompson with the deflection, and she'll be hit with the offensive foul. Maddie Brunn got herself established in time.
That was a little surprising. I didn't know. It looked to me like they could call that one either way.
Tough to tell from here. I thought maybe Thompson led with the elbow, but Brunn, had that position, and those block charge calls, I think, are the hardest to make for an official.
Yeah.
But Holy Angels establishing that transition game early. It looks like they want to run. Ooh, a high carry. Maddie Dorn almost traveled, loses the ball anyway. Thompson bouncing over to Meyer. Meyer backs off to Thompson. Here comes the three. It's short. She'll try again. Short again. And the rebound by number 31 for the Eagles. Emma Henry is in for the Stars, number 10. We'll get everyone in a moment.
Well, Totino-Grace having all sorts of problems in their half-court sets, not able to get the ball into Sydney Wierke the way they'd like to.
31 for the Eagles is Abby Schroeder. Vanderwerf weaves to the hole, is blocked by Wierke. Doran backs off. And the pass intended for Ganaway was deflected by Thompson. Megan Thompson, the floor general and Energizer Bunny, in the words of Joe Burke, and she is displaying her relentless effervescence in the first 6 minutes of this one. Finished last year with an GPA of above 4.0.
That's pretty good.
So in other words, she could beat me on Jeopardy. I think most of these kids could. Wierke almost lost it. Scramble for the ball. It will go to Schroeder. She'll fire, and Totino-Grace takes a broken play and gets a pair out of it. It's 6-5. Oberg, spin move. Wierke with the block. Oberg recovers, almost puts it in. How about Wierke's play in the post?
Well, I tell you, she's just so solid.
Totino-Grace, the 2008 3A state champions, haven't replicated that success since, but as you know in high school, it's really hard to do. Doran for three, short. Oberg with the rebound, wanted a run out, couldn't find an outlet target. So she'll go to Megan Thompson, who's also an outstanding soccer player. Talhuber, over to Henry. Henry, the freshman. Now Thompson runs across the baseline. Talhuber swishes the long deuce. And a foul is called on Henry. Now I know you. Oh, go ahead.
I was just saying, Thalhuber with two big scores here.
And I know you had a chance to see Holy Angels throughout their run last year. Of course, it was a surprise for everyone, but what did you notice about them that really stood out that allowed them to run away, especially in that championship game? They flattened Winona, as I recall.
Well, I think just great team defense. You know, you already had the scoring dynamic with Laura Bagwell-Katanalik, but I think their defense is very underrated.
Emma Mastery, number 42, on the floor for the Stars. Brunn, inside to Wierke. Oh, great entry feed.
It was.
Bree Glynn on the back door. Even I didn't see her.
She did. They made the most of it.
That's why I'm up here and they're down there. Oberg, she takes the entry feed, goes high off the window and in.
Wow. That's just a great play there.
Destiny Oberg gets on the board. Oberg averaged a double-double last year, 13 points, 11 rebounds. Made the all-tournament team. As a sophomore, she already has several D1 offers from top-ranked schools.
And you can see why.
And this is her fourth year on varsity, so
Yeah.
if you do the math, that means she started as a seventh grader. She misses the three-point play, though. Holy Angels has yet to make a free throw. They've only had 3 attempts, though. Bullseye! Carla Meyer with her second tray, and we're tied at 10.
Meyer, the freshman, draining one from the left wing. Got open in a nice transition opportunity for the Eagles.
Oberg on the entry feed again. No three-point play this time, but she'll shoot 2. And the foul will be charged to Bree Glynn. And this is how impressive Holy Angels was as a team. Oberg averaged a double-double. She was only their third leading scorer. Also considered a great passer, can bring the ball up the floor. She's going to play a lot of post naturally.
I think the one thing for Holy Angels going forward this year, now with a state title in their back pocket, is how well they react to having that target on their back. That's the one thing I think we'll have to see as this season progresses.
Oberg missing both free throws, and with the block from behind was Alex Ganaway rejecting Megan Meyer. So Holy Angels 0 of 5 from the free throw line. And as we noted in our last game with De La Salle,
those were costly.
Well, they did recover, but Holy Family held on to win. Oberg staying on her pivot, goes up, tough move, comes up with her own rebound, fights through and can't get the putback, tries again, no. 3 chances and Holy Angels comes up empty. Ganaway.
She's so strong down low, though. Incredibly hard to box her out.
That much is certain.
Well, let's see how Totino-Grace does here without Wierke out there on the floor.
Maddie Brunn will draw the foul. Kaylee Vanderwerf gave her a bump. 9:03 left. 10-10 our score. A lot of action, though, between the two teams.
Absolutely. Deadlocked here in a 10-10 tie. Just under 9 minutes.
Ganaway out to Meyer. Schroeder thought about it. Meyer would love to set up from the 3, but Megan Thompson's right on top of her. So Totino-Grace will reset, which you can do without a shot clock. Schroeder, I should say that was Ganaway, was left open for 15. Comes up strong. Eagles will get a second try. Ganaway tries again. Rims out, and that's going to be over the back on Bree Glynn. .8:26 remaining in the first half. 10-10 our score. Totino-Grace battling the defending 3A state champions. Thompson backs off. Finds Talhuber. Totino-Grace in their zone. The high entry pass, and Oberg tried the reverse. It didn't work. And calling timeout is Totino-Grace.
Oberg may have found herself a little too far under the basket to try that. You know, that's one thing about a young post player. Sometimes they don't always have great floor recognition. And I know that's kind of a hard term to use, but you always have to know and understand where you're at on the floor. So when you put up a shot like that, you have a great chance of making that work.
And I see Totino-Grace in the zone, probably to keep Oberg from doing too much damage down there. And you see Holy Angels having a tough time converting in the post. They found Oberg on a couple of occasions, but
and they haven't
she's
always
come up
been
short.
able to convert.
And as we noted in the first game, with this being the opening day, everyone's going to be a little bit rusty as you come back from your AAU teams, fall leagues, or if you're playing another sport, everyone is kind of remembering how you play the game, or how you play with each other. So what you see here is probably going to be a lot more polished when we get to section play.
Oh, absolutely.
And both schools have conferences with a lot of high-quality teams to refine that athleticism.
As I always tell everybody, Rome wasn't built in a day.
I'm not sure I ever heard that before.
You've had to have heard it from me more than once.
Well, when in Rome, I have heard of that. I was just testing your acumen.
Yeah.
Which is still sharp as ever. Another entry pass deflected, and Maddie Brun comes up with the steal. Totino-Grace looking to push. Ganaway cannot get the bounce. Let's see what Holy Angels does. Thompson racing down. The skip to Vanderwerf, off balance, and it goes in. Kaylee Vanderwerf. Steal. And another fast break bucket for Megan Meyer. And Holy Angels, they thrive the most when they can get in the transition. That's going to be a foul. But Holy Angels really trying to emphasize that pressure defense and sensing that fast break looks maybe their best chance to score.
One thing you like about Holy Angels, they've got some size. You know, Vanderwerf, just a freshman.
And she's already on the starting roster. Ganaway gets the bounce. That's her first field goal, and this is still a tight one, 14-12. Nobody has scored more than 6 points, which shouldn't be that surprising. We haven't scored that many points. Vanderwerf cannot hit the 14-footer. Talhuber, Oborg, fades away and scores. Here comes the pressure defense again. Number 13 was looking to line up the three, couldn't do so. Number 13 for the Eagles is Kelly Opak. Brun. Ganaway lost it. She was calling for the foul and finally gets one from the official. to be fair, it's not a bargain.
Well, it looked like she wanted to pass the ball off, and she decided to do it too late, and she got tied up.
Fouls on Oberg, and she was pushed, so that was a reasonable call to make. There's Meyer. Brunn for three. Bullseye. 1 point game.
And just when you think Holy Angels might be on the cusp of opening up a little distance.
Well, Totino-Grace with the stronger perimeter game right now. Holy Angels, the better team in transition. But against that zone, they've had difficulty with the entry passes. Oh my goodness. Megan Myers stole it. I don't think she's going to get as open as she was there, but Holy Angels does retain possession. And a very energetic first half, though.
Oh, absolutely.
5:27 left. We talked about the lack of practices in our first game, Holy Angels, as Oberg draws the foul. Holy Angels only had 8 practices as a team, and I imagine Totino-Grace had a similar amount.
Yeah.
Ganaway take with the foul, her first. And Holy Angels will try again. Three on the way is strong from Meyer. But Tallhuber scoops it up on the weak side. So Holy Angels getting a few second chance opportunities. Tallhuber left alone, fires the mid-range J, and it rins out. She faded away a little bit. And Tallhuber collides with Maddie Doran. She'll be hit with a foul. But another example of that pressure defense. And Holy Angels content to use it as long as they wish. And coming in for the Angels is number 1, Frankie Vassalero, the 8th grader. If the name sounds familiar, she's the daughter of Frank and Amelia. Frank Vassalero, Amelia Santinello, the lead newscast team for WCCO. And a block from behind on Holy Angels.
That was Vanderwerf. He swatted that shot away. They do have some size and do have some length.
And those are great assets to have when you start your title defense. That's going to be a foul on Vassalero. And that puts Holy Angels in the penalty, so Carla Meyer will shoot 1-1. Vassalero, 5'10", 8th grader. You wish you were 5'10", right?
God, if I could have had a fraction of that height when I was that age.
Carla Meyer at the line. She has a couple of trays to her credit already. This is Totino-Grace's first trip to the free throw line. And Meyer makes both.
Puts the Eagles in the lead, 17-16.
That pushes the lead to 8. I should say pushes her total to 8. It puts Totino-Grace in front by 1. Entry pass to Oberg, finally breaks free and breaks through. Holy Angels persistent in trying to set up Oberg down low. And she comes away with a steal. Tallhuber bouncing over to Vassalero. Now she has it again. Thompson to Oberg. Holy Angels showing some patience here now. Oberg, long 2, is short. Strong. Either way, it misses.
Amazing how Totino-Grace has been able to do this with Sydney Werke sitting on the bench here.
Missing the three-pointer was Ganaway. And I think Oberg came up with it. Tallhuber. She'll take it herself and score. Tallhuber had a couple of options. She had Vassalero on the back door, decided to take it herself, and it pays off. Baseline J, swish. Maddie Doran gets on the board. A battle of 3A schools. A very tight contest thus far, 20-19 now as we approach the end of the first half. Vanderwerf weaves her way through the hole, couldn't finish. Entry feed. Schroeder couldn't put it down on a foul. That's Totino-Grace's last to give. With 2:20 left, though, it may not cause much damage here. Subs coming in. Meyer going in place of Vassalero, and Emma Henry returns to the court. And a new player in for the Stars, it's Isabel Henry, number 32. And now we'll go into Totino-Grace's direction.
So far, that 2-3 defense, that zone defense that Totino-Grace is employing has been doing the job. Ooh, there's a mistake.
Alex Ganaway, I think she stepped over the line.
Yep.
And if that's going to happen, you would rather have it happen in the first game of the season
rather than the
than
last.
in a section playoffs.
Yeah.
Still not a great time for that miscue. And Thompson unable to hit the three. Rebound went through Vanderwerf's fingers. Back door. And it's a party for Megan Meyer. Meyer with 6. Left alone, the long 2 is good for Maddie Doran. (22-21) our score. That's a foul. Totino wanted a traveling violation. They're not going to get it. And Emma Henry, one of 3 freshmen who will see regular minutes this season, will go to the line for a 1-on-1 situation. But she blanks. Vanderwerf, who comes up with a rebound, is fouled, and this time it will be 2 shots guaranteed.
Well, I
she
tell
was
you,
fouled going up.
This influx of youngsters that the Eagles have is just so impressive to watch, Mike.
And that is what amazes me most about this team. You had that senior leadership from Bagwell Katalinic as Vanderwerf makes the front end.
And it's really a new era for these guys as well.
It's a new era, and at the same time, they have the experience and they're young.
Yeah.
So they're the baby-faced veterans, if you will.
I've never heard that term before, but it's very fitting.
Excuse me while I go trademark that at halftime. Vanderwerf makes both free throws. It's a 3-point lead, now down to 1. As Kelly Opat takes the backdoor play in for a bucket. Vanderwerf, through a double team, comes up clutch.
Well, that's so tough to stop, but she gets posted up.
And now Holy Angels starting to get that post penetration. We'll see if Totino-Grace adapts to that. A long skip, Opat for 2. That's going to be short. And the rebound goes right into the hands of Schroeder. They'll try again. Meyer missing the triple. Another O-board. And Maddie Doran with a second chance bucket. What a start. Less than 10 seconds now. Holy Angels will likely hold for the final shot. Three on the way is short, and that is over the backboard. Totino-Grace with 1.3 seconds to see what they can do with it. And they'll elect to concede and wait until the second half. But what an entertaining first half. Holy Angels with a 1-point lead, 26-25. A lot of ebb and flow.
It sure has, and I think if you're head coach Jessica Bloomer of Totino-Grace, you've got to feel really good about where you're at right now. Consider the fact that Sydney Werke is set out for a good chunk of the first half. I mean, this team has stayed right in the thick of things, down only 1 point, and I think just as important, they've been able to I think they've had the better of it from the perimeter.
And Holy Angels, if they can find a way to get that transition game established, that will be a huge benefit in their favor for the second half.
Absolutely.
So we'll take a pause and come back with our first half stats and analysis. You're watching the inaugural Thanksgiving tip-off here at the University of St. Thomas. Holy Angels leads Totino-Grace by 1.
Berg. Bagwell, Totino-Grace.
Look, getting the rebound first and foremost, and then making the good decision.
Over a good turn to the basket.
Nice post move.
Representative basketball so far in the state tournament. That's a long ways, and there's a fast break waiting to happen. Meyer. Megan Meyer's got her first field goal of the day.
If they can get her a do.
LBK. Coming up on 8 minutes now left in the game. Right inside, and the shot is up and in. Boy, she's having a game tonight.
With defense on her.
Again, Thompson. She's doing a great job defensively. Just come out of nowhere, causing a lot of trouble. Oberg, the freshman behind the back, delivers the pass and fires up the Stars crowd. Bagwell, Katalinic, and she will hold the ball as she should, as she guides her Holy Angel Stars to a state championship here at Williams Arena.
And we're back at the University of St. Thomas. Mike Peden with Alex Nagel. A Northwest Suburban versus Tri-Metro matchup. Totino-Grace and Holy Angels. And going into this matchup, I think a lot of folks would pin Holy Angels as the favorite. Right now, they're only up by 1, 26-25.
Well, give a lot of credit to this scrappy Totino-Grace team, particularly, as I mentioned earlier, right before we left before the halftime break, with Sydney Werke sitting on the bench for a good chunk of this first half. I mean, they stayed right in the thick of things, and by trailing only by 1 here as we start the second half, they've got to feel pretty good about themselves and very good about where they're at right now.
And you can thank Carla Meyer, number 5 for that with 8 points. And Maddie Doran has 6 points. Those are your notables for Totino-Grace. Holy Angels, Riley Talhuber with 8. And Megan Meyer and Kaylee Vanderworth with 6. But perhaps the biggest influence to this 1-point margin, how effective Totino-Grace has been at containing Destiny Oberg in the post.
Yeah, that's big. And again, you know, we talked about Holy Angels and how they had to become a balanced scorer team without that one dynamic player that they had last year in Laura Bagwell-Katanlich. I mean, I think you're beginning to see traces of that right now.
This is a young but experienced team. That being said, when your top player graduates, it means someone else has to take on that leadership role, and it can be quite a burden. But this is a team that knows what it takes to go all the way, as they demonstrated a year ago.
And wearing a target on your back as well.
Well, I think that comes with any defending champion. Just ask the Lynx. They've done that a few times. Back to action here. Totino-Grace wearing the navy, Holy Angels wearing the white. And the three-pointer is short from Braun. And Holy Angels wins the scrum. Megan Thompson, she's like a gnat out there at times. Just always pestering her assignments. Vanderwerf throws to no one. She was going for Thompson, but
There was some miscommunication there.
Vanderwerf a little taller than Thompson there. So Totino-Grace with an opportunity to take the lead. There's Wierke. 3 is short from Meyer.
Totino-Grace, kind of an interesting blend of experience and young players coming up.
And they picked up a couple of new faces in the process. Oberg. Dribble drive is good. And if they can get Oberg established down low, Totino-Grace throws it away. That's what the second half could come down to. For Totino-Grace, they have that strong perimeter game, but I think they like to keep Wierke out there a little bit longer. Holy Angels.
And get her involved more offensively.
And that's why staying out of foul trouble is so key. And for Holy Angels, either get that transition game going or find a way to get Oberg involved. But as always in the sport of basketball, there are surprises. Thompson missing the tray. And the rebound will eventually go to Tino. Oh, dangerous pass. And Thompson hit with the foul. No was on Totino-Grace.
I think it's going to go on Maddie Brunn.
And that was a pretty complacent skip pass or bounce pass from Totino there with Thompson lurking. So a double.
Only her first.
Only her first, but a double whammy for the Eagles. Oberg clutches and draws the foul.
On Bree Glenn.
One of 2 all-conference returnees.
And that's her third foul, by the way.
Is Oberg. And Alex is right. Bree Glenn does pick up her third foul. And she will be subbed out. Oberg makes both free throws. That pushes her total to 8. Meyer to Schroeder. They swing it out, but Brunn cannot put down the 3. Thompson looking for the run out. She's got a target in Talhuber and 1.
Wow. And Brunn picks up her second foul in, I'd say, less than a minute, and that's got to hurt.
Talhuber becomes our first double-digit scorer.
The Stars have a chance now to expand their lead to as many as 8 points.
And this is the largest either team has led in this game. And a timeout is called by Totino-Grace.
Yeah, Jessica Huber wants to talk, or Bloomer wants to talk about it a little bit. After that promising finish toward the end of the first half, things have gone a little awry now here for the Eagles, and they've got to firm things up out there.
It doesn't surprise me with this being the first true run that either team has posted, or you'd want to call a timeout in this situation.
Looks like Mr. Peden is referring to something in last year's breakdown book.
Yeah, I'm looking up Oberg. She listens to a lot of music when she's not taking part in basketball. But I've got a feeling you will be picking up the 2016-17 copy because they don't have a whole lot on the returning Holy Angels players. But Oberg likes to play down low, and that's a traveling violation. Not the way you want to come out of a timeout if you're Alex Scanaway.
And the wheel's starting to fall off now for Totino-Grace.
Well, still a lot of time, 14:47, but you're right. This isn't an opportune moment to suffer miscues. Especially with Tallhuber scoring the way she has. Bounces over to Vanderwerf. Threading the needle.
Wow.
I thought Vanderwerf's pass was going to be intercepted. Instead, Oberg will go to the line.
I think that one's going to go on Ganaway.
To shoot two.
Pull in. And that's her fourth.
Well, that's an advantage that height can give you.
So the problems continue to mount here for the Eagles in the early moments of the second half.
Destiny Oberg, favorite part about playing the sport, seeing everyone come out and watching you play. Considered lacrosse for a time. Splits there. But that does push the Holy Angels lead to 9. And a bounce pass is deflected and stolen by Vanderwerf. Thompson will bring it up. This is that Holy Angels run that some of us were anticipating. But Totino-Grace has other ideas. They get a transition look. Maddie Doran with the finish. And Doran is coming up clutch here when Totino-Grace needs it.
They needed that badly. Let's see if they can get a stop here and get something going.
Doran provided some scoring.
Oh.
And Megan Meyer will provide 3 points of her own. That pushes the lead to 10, 37-27. But Duran has provided some offense, especially when Wierke was on the bench. Schroeder in trouble. Gets out of it. Brunn left alone. Bullseye. As the adage goes, the best way to get out of a shooting funk, keep shooting. Brunn with her second tray. Foul. And it's on Totino-Grace. And Totino with a smaller rotation. So this foul situation could hamper their efforts as they trail by 7. That's only the first on Schroeder. Tallhuber thought about it. Backs off. Thompson for 3. Can't get the bounce. And Vanderwerf cannot corral the rebound, so a dead ball rebound will go to Totino-Grace.
Vanderwerf comes off. Sit a spell and catch a breath.
So Totino-Grace hoping to withstand, as they draw the foul, hoping to withstand the first proverbial punch thrown by Holy Angels, and it's only a 7-point margin.
Well, I think with Vanderwerf on the bench now, this might be a slight opening now here for the Eagles and see if they can draw a little bit closer here.
It certainly reduces the height that Holy Angels has. Brunn, the long skip to number 11. Wierke cannot hit the elbow J. And a foul is called on Holy Angels. And it's on Mastry. So Mastry picks up 2 quick fouls after she subbed in for Vanderwerf. Brunn runs into a elbow J, can't come up with it. Holy Angels with another transition chance. And Megan Meyer with the finish again. Meyer up to 11. Brunn. Over to Meyer. Scramble for the ball. It's a jump. Totino with the arrow. Pass deflected,
Ooh.
and it will stay with Totino-Grace, but Holy Angels showcasing the art of the deflection.
Yep. Big break there for the Eagles. They need that, and they need to retain possession. Can't let this thing get forward to get away from them.
They held with Totino, or I should say held with Holy Angels in the first half.
All right.
But turnovers have undone their efforts in the second half. But Totino-Grace comes right back and stops Megan Thompson from a fast break chance, and they force a turnover. So Totino-Grace doing their best to hang around, but they've got to convert here, and another intercepted pass. And Holy Angels will not be denied this time. Megan Meyer, the queen of transition looks in this one. I've got her at 13. Holy Angels with their largest lead of the game. 3 on the way. No good. Wierke still can't find her shot.
Been a frustrating outing for Sydney Wierke here.
Transition 3,
Wow.
bullseye. Megan Meyer, who else would it be? And another timeout for Totino-Grace. Holy Angels up to 14. Their lead, that is. And Megan Meyer has a lot to do with that.
Well, I think we're really beginning to get a glimpse of what this Holy Angels team is capable of doing, Mike. We're starting to see, like the balanced scoring that we talked about at the outset. They're getting that. They're getting contributions, not only down low, but from the perimeter as well. And that's got to be encouraging.
And if you're Totino-Grace, how do you stop the bleeding?
Well, number one, you have to cut down on the turnovers. You've seen the last 2 possessions end up in a turnover. You got to be crisp with your passes. You got to be willing to work the ball down low, I think. There's still a lot of time left, but you've got to cut down on the mistakes. You have to take care of the rock, and right now Totino-Grace is not doing that.
Holy Angels, the private high school located in Richfield, the alma mater of Larry Fitzgerald. And now they're up by 14, looking to build on that lead. Megan Meyer goes to Vanderwerf. Tries the reverse, draws the foul, will shoot 2. Kaylee Vanderwerf, the freshman.
She sure doesn't play like one.
I don't think many of the Holy Angels players play like freshmen. Again, though, some of them have been on varsity since 7th grade, and a lot of returning parts to this championship team from a year ago. Vanderwerf splits. And the lead continues to rise, up to 15 now. If you're keeping track, as Holy Angels throws it away or forces another turnover. If you're keeping track, Holy Angels with a 16-2 edge in scoring in the second half. And they can add to that run here. Vanderwerf inside to Oberg. Fights through and will shoot 2.
Let's see who that's going to go on.
Totino-Grace in the penalty. The foul's on Meyer, Carla Meyer. But Holy Angels is going to shoot free throws the rest of the way. And Oberg now the 3rd player to reach double digits. And talking with Joe Berg, the assistant coach, earlier today, he felt that balance would be a stronger theme this year for the Holy Angels Stars.
Yep, took an extra step.
And a traveling violation. And now we're seeing a glimpse of that here with 3 players in double figures, and the adage, leadership by committee, is coming to fruition in this matchup at least. Oberg hits the mid-range J.
That one's going to go on to Vanderwerf. I tell you, Oberg, I don't think a lot of people expected that she could be, that effective from, the perimeter. But my goodness, when you can do the damage down low and score from the perimeter like that, that's awfully tough to defend.
That was an attribute Joe Berg highlighted in my discussion with him this afternoon. He felt that Oberg was effective at not just posting up, but shooting perimeter shots.
Yep.
And she's up to 13. And what was a tight contest in the first half is turning into a Holy Angels rout. Here comes Thompson. Oops. Almost traveled.
Might have gotten away with one there.
Megan Meyer can't hit the 3, but Destiny Oberg comes up with it, and she'll shoot 2 more.
She's just really dominating the second half.
And that was a key, I believe, from the first half. Totino-Grace find a way to shut her down. Oberg is doing a great job countering those measures. And massive subs coming in for the Stars. Isabel Henry back on the floor. Emma Henry also on the floor, and Frankie Vassalero returns to action. Oberg gets the back end. Double dribble and another turnover.
And the turnovers really starting to pile up now for Totino-Grace.
And if you want another indication of how lopsided this game is becoming, Holy Angels 9 of 17 from the free throw line. Not the best conversion rate, but Totino-Grace, that's going to be a charge. There is no restricted zone at the high school level, so Brunn had legal guarding position.
Yeah.
So do not pay any attention to the semicircles down there. But I was going to say, Holy Angels 9 of 17, even if that's not the best conversion ratio, that far outpaces Totino-Grace, who is just 2 of 2 from the free throw line. I'm sure there are many other metrics that would illuminate the domination Holy Angels have put up in this half, but the most important one is the score. Foul. And it's going to be on Totino-Grace. So more free throws coming for the Stars. And Totino-Grace, they may not come out with a win in this one. They had a strong start last year. I believe they won their first 5 or 6 games in a row, ran into some bumps. So they're a team that I reason will contend in the Northwest Suburban. A conference that I imagine Park Center will be a favorite in this year, although Centennial with Jill
Centennial,
Beckenbach,
I think, is going to be a team to keep your eye on.
That was 1-1. Oberg wrestles the rebound away, and
I think Kanoka could be another strong team as
although
well.
they'll be doing it without Scott Ansel, who resigned right before the season started.
No, I did not know.
I came across that a couple days ago.
Wow.
Kevin Anderson is always on top of these things, and that's how I found out, through his website. And that's a pretty big change for Anoka, who's made state on a regular basis.
Yeah.
As Bree Glynn finally ends the Holy Angels run on a drive to the rim. But Thompson finds Isabel Henry, and she scores. Isabel, one of the freshmen, expected to make an impact this year for the Stars. And
again, there's the balance, I think, that we were talking about for Holy Angels.
And even up by 20, they're still applying the pressure defense. And we'll stay with the Eagles. Holy Angels This was probably an understatement. They're going to be a tough out in the Tri-Metro Conference this year. Although they are not infallible. They had some great wins, but they had some tough losses as well. One of them to Cretin-Durham Hall last year. So this is a team you can contend with, but it's an experienced group, and as we've seen, just because you can contend with them doesn't mean they're going to be easy. Missing the three-pointer was Isabel Henry, and the rebound going to Doran. And Isabel Henry with the steal. And even in this game, Totino-Grace played well for a half, using that 2-3 zone to shut down Oberg. It's just tough to maintain when you have the depth that Holy Angels does.
Yeah.
And as
and the turnovers added up too.
And on top of that, as that feed for Oberg was deflected, on top of that,
and I think it's got to be a disappointing outing for
Sydney Wierke. I was going to mention
I'm sure there's going to be plenty of contests this year where she shines brightly, but sometimes you take your lumps as well.
Wierke has not scored in this game. We'll stay with Holy Angels. Entry feed for Van der Werf is good. Megan Thompson set her up. And a foul. Fouls on Vassalero reaching in from behind, and Frankie Vassalero, an 8th grader, so nothing to get too frustrated about at this stage of her career. But it's good to get some playing time out there, at least get the jitters out of the way. And with Holy Angels, as we've seen the last couple of years, they're not afraid to embrace youth.
Yep.
You see some teams that are senior heavy, like we saw Minnetonka a year ago. And Braun missing the three-pointer. And then we see groups like Holy Angels and Hopkins who aren't afraid to put in those 7th or 8th graders on varsity.
The funny thing about senior-laden teams, or experienced teams where you have a lot of juniors and seniors, your window for realizing that ultimate goal is so small.
Ganaway scoring for Totino-Grace. And they force a steal there. And it will stay with the Eagles. For Totino-Grace, as you noted, cutting out on turnovers, the passing is going to be key, I think, as the season progresses, because I see a lot of passes that are within reach for Holy Angels defenders.
Yeah. Those are some of the things that head coach Jessica Bloomer will have to have her team show her up on in this next week's practices for sure.
Van der Werf can't complete the entry pass, but she does draw the foul. We'll shoot a pair here. Going back to what you said about senior heavy teams and that window, some examples that come to mind: Minneapolis South.
It took them a while, but they finally got one.
They did get one, but they haven't been to state since '09. St. Paul Central and those super teams, the teams that knocked out South in those 2 prior years.
Oh, remember 2008?
Who can forget that one? Lakeville North, I mean, they've been to state several times, but haven't won since that undefeated year in 2010.
Yeah. Centennial is another one.
Although they...
Remember that team that was undefeated and lost to Osseo.
And I think that was 2008?
2008. I'll never forget that game. I was there.
Van der Werf misses both free throws. Inconsequential at this point. And And getting the transition bucket is Carla Meyer. The one bright spot here for Totino-Grace. And if Totino-Grace really cleans up the passing, I feel they will have a chance to be competitive in conference and maybe in the ranks of 3A, because I believe they share the same section as Como and De La Salle in 4-3, as I recall. And a jump ball. Holy Angels with the arrow as Megan Meyer got tied up. Here's some other examples. Well, De La Salle comes to mind. They haven't been to state since the Faith Johnson-Patterson three-peat. And since then, we've seen a share of different winners. Well, Park Center.
Well, and consider when Park Center was in the 3A field, it took
speaking
them
of their windows,
forever to crack that De La Salle.
And speaking of windows, this is the last year of that group of four.
Yeah.
With Michaela Hayes and Faye Obama-Dilly, Danielle Schaub, and Ann Simonette. Megan Thompson fires the three. That's short. Now, prep sports obviously a lot different than college or pro. Talhuber can't hit the three. But something that a state championship can do, as Holy Angels will have that chance to capitalize on, it can bring you some recognition, reputation, as Megan Thompson gets the steal, and even though they're up by 18 and they're going to win this one, they are still playing aggressively.
Yeah, they are. They're still playing with a lot of intensity and a lot of heart, and you got to admire that.
And some other perennials, Hopkins, of course, they have that strong reputation.
Hopkins is going to be an interesting team to watch this year.
Brian Cosgriff with much success over the last decade or so. And so in those regards, you have an advantage that can appeal to athletes looking to make an impression.
Yeah.
And Holy Angels has that chance now. Getting the state title. Having a lot of returning players from that team.
Glenn, I think, got a hand on that shot.
And we're in stat padding time here, but massive subs are going to come in for the Stars on the next dead ball, which will happen right now on the traveling violation. A really impressive second half here for Holy Angels. And a long way to go, of course. But for those who like to favor the returning champions to win again, Holy Angels making a pretty good case in this first game. Of course, much remains to be seen. We know Maranatha will give them a challenge. They do with a lot of schools these days. And there's a few other schools in the Tri-Metro. As number two.
I tell you, when it comes to Maranatha Christian, I don't care how big of a school you are. If you play them, you better be on your toes.
Alex Walker scoring for the Stars. And Destiny Oberg will have a chance to pad her numbers. A school that can always claim to be the first state champion. And Oberg with a nice shimmy.
That nice little spin move she made. My goodness.
Oberg with the shimmy past Weirkey. An exclamation point on a fine second half. No foul. There's a foul. Kelly Opat will shoot three here. I believe the foul will be charged to Mastery. No, they're going to call it after the shot. And more deep players coming in. What has impressed you most about the second half in particular for Holy Angels?
Well, I just think the way, they can have so many options from a scoring standpoint. We talked about balance. They have that. You talk about Oberg. I mean, she's not only so strong down low, but she's so versatile. She can score from the perimeter. And I think most importantly, you look at for Danny Woods, they really turned up the intensity on defense here in the second half.
Alex Walker will shoot 2 on another transition chance from the Stars. Well, Walker has her first field goal and her first free throw of the season.
Again, I think the thing that you have to throw caution at is that assuming that Holy Angels can get back to the state tournament again this year, and they're not going to be able to do it flying under the radar like they did this last year.
Something that we've touched on a few times. And even as our president is going to figure out, you can only be an upset card once. I won't go any further on that topic. That's for another program. Vassalero with the steal. Will she finish it? Comes up short. Gets her own rebound. Well, won't get her first points of the season, but she'll get her first steal and her first rebound. So, baby steps, right?
Yep, a lot of hope for the youngster.
But you have to like how Holy Angels is still playing as if it's the first minute.
Yeah.
Well, Vassalero's going to try again.
No, she'll get a chance now.
That was Oberg who set her up with the steal, but that's a good sign. Other teams might hang on to the ball, run out the clock. Holy Angels sensing that, hey, we only get 36 minutes.
Frankie Vassalero, I like that name.
I wonder where they got that from. And there's her first point of the 2016-17 season. I wonder how hard it took her parents to come up with that name.
I don't know. She's 5'10", though. She's got, a long,
and
nice little time to grow up too and fill out that
secret.
frame. And she's, she'll get better as she gets a little older.
Does it scare you to think how tall she might be? Whoops. Well, lane violation, but Rachel Kawicki laughs it off, which you can do when you're up by 25 in less than a minute. Both 8th graders, so those are your freshman mistakes as 8th graders.
Yep.
But Frankie Vassalero finally gets her first point, so at least you have that under your belt. You don't have to worry about that now.
Yeah.
The shot missed, so it wouldn't have mattered, but Holy Angels, I like their depth, and that's not something we see at these smaller classes. Maranatha was touting theirs in Class A. 4A, we always talk about it, but the smaller schools, that's not always a given. And if Holy Angels can utilize that depth as they have here in this first game, they're going to do great things this season, whether or not they win state. Walker with the rebound. And she loses it. So final seconds ticking away. Holy Angels with a dominant second half. Holy Angels wins this one by 25, 61-36.
Well, credit head coach Danny Woods and the adjustments he made at halftime. They really turned up the intensity on defense, and it showed early on in the second half. They got a lot of turnovers, and they made the most of those opportunities that they got.
Doing what you would expect out of an experienced team that understands what it takes to win it all. And they might have missed a beat for the first half, but it looks like they're on championship form, at least after game one.
Yep.
There's still 25 games to go, but you'll never complain about winning your first one.
No.
So we'll try to get a word with a couple of the Holy Angels players before we wrap things up here at St. Thomas. You're watching the inaugural Thanksgiving tip-off. Holy Angels win 61-36. And I'm joined by Destiny Oberg and Megan Meyer of the Holy Angels Stars. Destiny, since you're next to me, we'll start with you. Struggled in the first half, then you really found a way to get inside in the second half and really took it to Totino-Grace. What adjustments did you make?
I just kind of calmed down and took a breath and realized that all the work I've done is kind of like prepared me for this moment. So I just knew that it'd get me there, and yeah.
And you had a lot of work, of course, including last year where you won state. How do you think that state tournament run will carry over into this year and the motivations and ambitions of this team?
I feel like more people are going to be coming at us because like the title that we have, and we're going to get more competition, which is going to make us better and learn from the mistakes that we make and learn from the success that we have.
And you got a taste of that in the first half, so how do you think that effort that Totino-Grace put on to make it a one-point game at halftime will help illuminate some of the things you need to do?
Shows us that people are coming at us, and in order for us to keep what we have, we got to stick it to them.
And reflecting on what happened a year ago, of course it's now history now, but what did that do for you guys, for the school, and just bringing this team together and just showcasing the somewhat hidden talent of this team? Because up until you won, you were kind of surprised to a lot of folks.
I feel like it kind of lit a fire under us and kind of brought us all together to know that if we work together, we can get to where we want to be.
And another person who helped you get there is right next to you, Megan Meyer. And Megan, when Destiny and others were struggling, you were really pushing it in the transition game. How were you so successful on fast breaks?
Well, I just push down there and I try and lead my people out, and I don't know, it's just really nice. I'm there for support when people aren't doing so well, and like I'll help them out too when they need help, so yeah.
You lost your top player to graduation in Laura Bagwell-Catalanich, although she was here tonight supporting you guys, yet this is a very experienced team. How do you think that will help you as the season moves along, because there's a lot of freshmen who don't play like it?
Yeah, we do have a very experienced team, and the freshmen that have come here helping us out along the way, and they're great with the team, and they're really keeping us up, so yeah.
It helps that the person next to you is a 4-year varsity member.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
And talk about the camaraderie that has developed as a result, because Holy Angels, they're not afraid to use younger players if they have the talent and the wherewithal, and I think we've seen how effective that can be in terms of chemistry.
Yeah, I really think the state tournament last year brought us together as a team, and we have become very close, and we've had a lot of experiences together, so it just makes us become all great friends with each other, and that's what's helping us win. That's what's going to help us win this year.
And what does a tough game with Totino-Grace do to just remind you of what has to happen if you want to repeat?
Yeah, well, the first half was really close, so then we just realized that we really need to push, and we lit a fire in the second half, and that's what we're going to do every game, so it really reminded us of that.
Anyone you want to say hi to that might be watching this?
My mom and my brother and my grandma and grandpa. Love y'all.
What about you, Megan?
My mom, my dad, my sister, and my brother, so yeah.
Always love getting the shout-outs in. Thank you for your time. Hopefully this won't be the last time we see you guys, but I don't think anyone can complain about starting the season 1-0.
No, it was a good win. Yeah.
Thanks again. Get some rest, come back here tomorrow, and hopefully you can stay undefeated. But you probably want to stay tight a little more.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
So the title defense begins with a win over Totino-Grace, and that wraps up our coverage here from St. Thomas. For our entire crew, I'm Mike Peden. Thank you for watching the Thanksgiving tip-off here at Schoenecker Arena.